here we go. Happy Monday. Monday is fun day. They say welcome in. Hope you enjoyed the weekend. It's another edition of the Joe Raineri Show brought to you by WagerTalk.com. And you guys know how to reach us. We're kind of all over the place now, aren't we? Twitter, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, streaming live each and every day to you beginning at 4 o'clock. So we're glad that you could stop by and hang out with us here today. We're going to be talking a little New York sports. I've got my New York Yankees shirt on, rather, as we've got baseball the way it should be. We've got the Yankees taking on the Red Sox Game 3 in the Bronx tonight. We'll give you the latest on what's happening there, as well as the other game that's already underway as the Indians try to stave off elimination there, taking on the Astros. We'll get you caught up with the latest there. We do also have, I guess, a little Atlanta Braves baseball to continue to go on as they're holding on by a thread. And then the Yankees, of course, tonight in the Bronx, the way baseball should be. Yankees, Red Sox, Game 3 of a 5-game set, tied up 1-1. It's going to be a lot of fun. And keeping with the New York theme, I thought it would be great if we had an opportunity to talk to a couple of guys that follow those NFL New York teams. That's right, the Giants in heartbreaking fashion lost one yesterday, but the Jets, well, they managed to actually show us that Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson are on the same team, and the Jets can run the ball, and the Denver Broncos can't run the ball. So we're going to talk a little Giants, a little Jets. Giants, Chris Bisignano from the Giant Insider, who covers the team, reports the team, follows the team. Some great information about New York Giants football will be coming your way with him. He's going to join us in a couple of minutes. And then Tyson Rauch, one of the best Jets podcasts on the web, Let's Talk Jets Radio. Really, really awesome stuff. He's going to join us bottom of the hour. We're going to talk about whether or not this is something to build off of. Is this something that can actually can we move forward as Jet fans and hope that this is something that will continue? I don't know that they'll rush for 300 yards every week, but certainly there was an improvement in that game yesterday against the Denver Broncos. So much to talk about. And once again, I want to thank our good friends over at Miami Acura for making this all a possibility there. And we offer you the opportunity to go take a test drive for the brand new 2019 RDX. That's right, the all-new 2019 RDX. You definitely want to go take it for a test drive. Miami Acura, South Dixie Highway for those of you in the 305, or simply call them at 855-564-4669. That's 855-564-4669. And as you know it, the Miami Acura hotline, you can reach us anytime, 855-WTF. 2255. So before we get to Chris Bisignano from the Giant Insider and talk about the New York Giants and where they go from here, I wanted to start by talking a couple observations from yesterday, kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly of what we've seen. And one of the bad and even uglier situations that we're seeing in the NFL, and we've talked about this before, you guys know as well as I know, that the NFL is a coaching league. Coaching is everything in the NFL. In the NBA, it's a stars league. Coaching doesn't matter. Doesn't make a damn bit of difference. I love Eric Spoelstra, okay? I mean, I do. I love him here in Miami, but the reality is, with the teams he had, the stars run the teams in this league, okay? LeBron James doesn't make a difference who is sitting on the sideline with him on court side. It doesn't really make a difference. Luke Walton, no Luke Walton. It doesn't matter. The NBA, coaching has got nothing to do with it. The stars run the NBA. But in the NFL, you better have yourself a coach. And you better have yourself a quality coach. And a coach that understands who his team is. And a coach which whatever team he is, they will take on his persona, and that'll be the kind of football team they are. And there were a number of incidents over the weekend that we witnessed where coaching cost the team the game, cost the franchise, cost the fan bases, a whole lot of misery. And as much as we want to point fingers at quarterbacks and offensive linemen and general managers, What we witnessed yesterday in a number of situations was coaching at its worst in the NFL. Okay? And I can't say it enough about the Dallas Cowboys, and I don't know what to make of what happened. For those of you that didn't get a chance to see the game last night, it went into overtime. What a shock. And Jason Garrett had an opportunity, 4th and 1 on Houston's 42-yard line. He had an opportunity in overtime to go for it, and he opted to punt. And he punted in overtime, and of course, what do you think happened? DeAndre Hopkins said, just give me the damn ball, and we'll end this game. And DeAndre Hopkins took a pass and just juked everyone, making up for the fumble he had earlier in the game, and puts him in field goal range, and Kai Forbath comes out there and hits his 98th field goal of the game, and the Houston Texans end up winning. But you have to figure out, Jason Garrett, what kind of team and what kind of person you are. And the Dallas Cowboys, when Jason Garrett decided to play it safe and to not trust an offensive line that he's paying the GDP of small third world countries for, and he's got one of the best running backs in the game in Ezekiel Elliott, when you send the message that I don't trust you guys to go and win us a game and get us a 1-yard advancement for a first down in order to be able to win that game on the road in overtime, you're basically just sent the message to your team that you don't trust them. And in turn, your team went ahead and lost the game. And there's no excuse for it. There's no excuse to have that kind of offensive line, have that running back in that situation on the road, an ability to be able to steal one on the road in Houston, a place that you haven't lost at in 100 years. It seems like forever since the Houston Texans have actually been able to beat the Dallas Cowboys, and it literally was years and years and years. But for you not to do that, and for Jerry Jones to come out after the game, of course, and start telling everyone how he didn't agree. You know, I don't necessarily agree with it, but, Jason Garrett is our – no, Jason Garrett has got to go. Jason Garrett has got to go because that kind of pussy-ass move right there is exactly why your team is not winning. Not to mention – and you have enough weapons. You got an offensive line, a running back. Dak Prescott is not – he's not great, but he's certainly better than what he has shown here. But the Dallas Cowboys have taken on the persona of a Jason Garrett, don't go for it, let's play it safe, let's pin them back. And what was his answer to it? I think he said that it was a long yard. It was a long 1 yard. Okay, well, keep this in mind. The Dallas Cowboys at that moment last night, 4th and 1 in Houston territory at the 42, they had an opportunity. In that moment, the Cowboys were 18 of 19 on 4th and 1 conversions over the last 3 years. So in the last 3 years, 18 of 19, 4th and 1, needing that yard. And at the moment that you needed the biggest yard of all of those opportunities, you opted not to do it. And you opted to let a defense minus Sean Lee try and stop the Houston Texans at home and try and stop DeAndre Hopkins, which you couldn't, and you ended up losing the game. And that's what I am talking about. That is just one of those situations in which we witnessed coaching costing their teams victories yesterday. Don't get me started with Jacksonville, although Jacksonville has got a bit of an issue going on right now because they ended up losing another running back yesterday during the game. They're down to no running backs. But you are not going to beat anybody if Blake Bortles has to throw the ball 61 times in a game. That is correct, okay? 61 pass attempts is what Blake Bortles had yesterday. Okay, there was a couple of situations where actually one of the interceptions that Blake Bortles threw in the end zone just before the first half there, in case you guys had missed that, they had gone 48 yards, took it to the goal line there. First, they had an opportunity to be able to punch it in just before halftime, make the game a little bit closer, and they had run the ball 8 times in that drive, 8 times. Pretty much running the ball got them to the goal line there to get the first and goal. And what do you think the next play call they throw is? A pass, and it gets intercepted. Same thing with John Gruden. John Gruden had an opportunity on the 1 yard line to be able to punch it in using Marshawn Lynch. Remember him, beast mode? And what did John Gruden opt? He opted to pass the ball on the 1-yard line, put it in Derek Carr's hands, and we've all seen what Derek Carr is able to do when he's trying to pass in the end zone, didn't we? He throws an interception, take the touchdown off the board, the complete game changes. Another one of those situations where coaching, philosophy, gut calling ended up costing the team. Baltimore Ravens and Joe Flacco yesterday, and this could be one of the just one of the weirdest and the strangest games I have seen, because I've been a big fan of the Baltimore Ravens. I've got to tell you, I'm real excited about the Ravens this year. I think they're a very much an undervalued team. I think they have a lot of potential. I really do, especially in that division with Pittsburgh's defense. And, you know, Cleveland is going to be a tough out. We know that. But there is opportunity for the Baltimore Ravens this year in the AFC North. And when you, as a unit, have the kinds of weapons that you do, especially on the ground, and you let Marty Morningwig and Joe Flacco throw the ball all over the place and not run the ball, then you run the risk of getting exactly what we got yesterday on the road. Joe Flacco not being able to get it done, abandoning the run game, and allowing Cleveland to hang around and eventually end up winning that game. But it's just the worst aspects of Marty Morningwig and Joe Flacco were on display yesterday, and even Harbaugh. I love Harbaugh, but to allow them to do that, to abandon the run in that situation, the Cleveland Browns are a great defense. Well, they're a good defense. They're not a great defense. But for you to abandon the run like you did yesterday and think that Joe Flacco was somehow on the road in a place that he has not been good at over the last 9 years, the idea, or the last 6 years for that matter, the idea that that was what you were going to do is just ridiculous to me. And again, another situation that ended up costing them the game. So we witnessed the worst parts of NFL coaching and why it is so important to have an NFL coach that understands his team and understands what they're doing, and to also have a team philosophy that mirrors the personality of the head coach. I was wrong by one guy, and I wanted to say this before we're going to get Chris Bisignano on from Giant Insider. We're going to talk a little Giants football for the the G-Men fans there. Chris follows this team, and it was a heart-wrenching loss yesterday. And we got to see a little Pat Schumer like we've never seen him before, a little animated, a little pissed off. And we're going to talk to Chris here in just a couple of minutes. But I do want to apologize to a guy that I ripped just a couple of weeks ago, and I had put him in this category of just atrocious coaching, and that was Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills. And Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills, I don't know how they've done it, and the only thing that I can come up with is great coaching. But the Buffalo Bills have one of the least talented teams in the NFL. They have no offensive line. They have a rookie quarterback with absolutely zero weapons. And I anticipated that the Buffalo Bills were going to be competing for maybe 1 or 2 wins all year and are going to be vying for the first pick in next year's draft. And instead, what we have is now a 2-win, 3-loss Buffalo Bills team who has managed to win 2 out of its last 3 games that they were not favored, not even close to being favored. They were massive underdogs, including yesterday at home against a Tennessee Titan team who had just beaten the Philadelphia Eagles the week prior in their home in overtime. And here we are. Now we have one of the least talented teams in the NFL beating teams they should not be beating. And you have to ask yourself, why? What's going on? Josh Allen ended up throwing for 82 yards yesterday. All right, Josh Allen was not good. The defense was amazing. Special teams was amazing. And when you look at Sean McDermott and what he does and what Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills, are trying to do here with Josh Allen, you have to tip your hat to the coaching staff there, because it is coaching. It is getting these guys in a position to be able to be successful, especially on defense. That's the reason why they've won 2 out of the last 3 games that they should have absolutely no business winning. So hats off to them. By all means, hats off to Sean McDermott, Brian Daboll, who has figured out a way to be able to, get Josh Allen in a position to be successful, even if it's for only 82 yards. LaShawn McCoy to the rescue, pounding it. Offensive line, not great, but you gave the offensive line the opportunity to go out of the way and actually do some run blocking and have some fun there. So all was good yesterday with the Buffalo Bills. They won a game. Doesn't have to be pretty, but they're doing it because Sean McDermott knows how to coach, and his staff knows how to coach and take a very non-talented team like the Buffalo Bills and to put 2 wins on the board already against teams you shouldn't have. That's what I mean about coaching and why it is so valuable in the NFL. Because without Sean McDermott and without this team, they don't win 2 games. They don't beat the Minnesota Vikings, and they sure as hell do not beat the Tennessee Titans yesterday. But they did because that coaching staff understands who their players are and understands how to scheme and put their players in a position to be successful. And that's exactly what they did yesterday with little to no talent on either side of those balls. So congratulations once again to the Buffalo Bills. I was wrong about Sean McDermott. I admit it. I'm saying it, all right? I'm going on record. Sean McDermott, the man can coach. All right, the man can coach. And Brian Daboll, first-year offensive coordinator there. Great job with Josh Allen. Congratulations on what you've been able to accomplish thus far. All right, so coming up here, we do have we're going to talk some Giants football. Chris Bisignano for Giant Insider. He's going to join us. And then, of course, we've got Tyson Roush from the Let's Talk Jets radio podcast. He's going to join us as well coming up closer to about 4:45. We're going to talk Giants. We're going to talk Jets. We're going to do that coming up next. But first, we got to take a few minutes out and thank our sponsors for making this for making us possible, for that matter, including WagerTalk.com and Low Cost Airlines, Superior Cruise Travel, and Miami Acura. We'll talk with Chris Bisignano coming up here in 3 minutes. It's the Joe Raineri Show.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Why? Because you can save 45% on packages compared to your high-priced cable bill. Wow. Take those giant scissors out and cut the cable and save with Dish TV. Plus, you get a free DVR upgrade to record your favorite shows and free installation. And with Dish Anywhere, you can watch TV for free on your mobile device. Act fast. You can save hundreds of dollars. Does your cable company do that for you? I don't think so. Get all the best TV programming at your fingertips at a fraction of the price of cable TV. So say adios, arrivederci, goodbye to the high cable bill and save up to 45% on Dish TV packages today. These are limited time offers and can change at any time. Call fast. 800-293-0328. 800-293-0328. 800-293-0328. That's 800-293-0328.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-764-9168. 800-764-9168. 800-764-9168. That's 800-764-9168.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-761-1427. 800-761-1427. 800-761-1427. That's 800-761-1427.
Get ready to talk sports. It's the Say It With Me podcast. Now here's your host, Joe Raineri.
Hey guys, so it was a rough day in the NFL yesterday, certainly for Miami Dolphin fans, but also for New York Giant fans, among others. And the Giants were this close to be able to pull it off on the road. I mean, they scored 30 points for the first time in 100 years. Everything was looking well until Graham Gano hit a 63-yard field goal, and then there's that. So I wanted to talk some Giants football today, and I couldn't find anybody better to do so than Chris Bisignano. He's from the Giant Insider, a great publication in the Northeast, covers the Giants, and there is no better information on the web right now following this team than at the Giant Insider. And Chris, thanks for taking a couple minutes and hanging out with us here today.
Okay, thanks for having me on, Joe.
No problem. All right, Chris, let's talk first and foremost Pat Shurmur. This guy usually is like watching paint dry, all right? He's very vanilla, doesn't get very animated, and what I saw from him yesterday was a lot of animation. This guy was emotional, he was angry, he was unfiltered, and it was really for the first time, since he's taken over the job here for the Giants, he became a little unhinged. What did you think of Pat Shurmur's reaction after the game yesterday?
Well, I didn't have a problem with it, Joe. Listen, it's after a tough loss, and guys are shooting questions at you about Odell, not the game. About 20 minutes after the loss. He was very frustrated with it, obviously. Listen, it is what it is. Shurmur usually is a very even-keeled guy. But coming off that loss and then having to deal with the Odell questions, obviously, he kind of reached, I guess, a little bit of a breaking point with it, and he let out some frustration. Wanted to talk football. Some guys in the media, wanted to talk Odell, and he was, he got a little pissed off about it. And it happens, Joe. Listen, Shurmur might be a pretty even-keeled guy, but he has an edge to him. He has a fire in him. Trust me, I'm around him all the time. He has that fire in him. And the rest of the NFL world saw it yesterday, Joe.
Yeah, and it's actually I was excited to see that because teams usually take on the persona of their head coach, and it was nice to see a little fire in him. And he also he didn't want to go there, but he did have some interesting things to say about the penalty calling, the refereeing yesterday. What were your thoughts on what you saw?
On what, Shurmur or the refereeing?
Both.
Well, obviously, the refereeing, the Giants feel they have been on the short end of a lot of calls the last 2 weeks. And it's frustrating, Joe. Listen, Shurmur, he bit his lip yesterday. You could see he was biting his lip. He got into it a little bit. He felt the Collins call was ridiculous. I mean, there was no question about it. It was another insane call that went against the Giants, like a couple did in the Saints game, and a lot did yesterday. You could tell Shurmur, he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want to give the appearance that they lost because of the refs, and they didn't lose because of the refs, but they contributed to the loss, no question about it. You could tell the Collins call, Joe, did really upset him, though. He did talk about that one a little bit, and some other things that happened, and it's very frustrating, Joe. A lot of players vented their frustration in the locker room afterwards. Some very questionable calls, Joe. And it's getting to the point now. You saw B.W. Webb kind of lose it yesterday on the ref. Not condoning that, it costs the team, 15 yards. But listen, Joe, when you're doing things that you're taught by coaches to do and refs are calling it, it's a very frustrating thing, Joe. It's crucial parts of games, and the Giants, obviously, after a 63-yard field goal beat you, obviously the frustration level is going to reach to a very high level, Joe, and you saw some of that yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Bisignano joining us, the Giant Insider, at Giant Insider on Twitter publication. He's around the Giants organization, follows them, covers them. The 4th-and-1 call that everybody is talking about. Here we go. Did McCaffrey get the first down? Shouldn't the refs have at least measured? Did it seem like maybe the moment happened too quick for them on the field, that they didn't react properly? Should it have come from upstairs? What are your thoughts on that 4th-and-1?
Well, he was, to me, Joe, I think to me and the rest of the NFL world, he came up short, McCaffrey, on that run. Now, it's the booth's responsibility when it's under 2 minutes to buzz downstairs and say, hey, wait a minute, we want to look at this. Okay? So I can't even blame the referees on that one. It's somebody incompetent who did not buzz downstairs and say, we need to look at this. Now, right away, the NFL, as they usually do, coming out and defending themselves, saying, oh, wait a minute, we looked at it really quick, and, oh, no, he got the first down. Impossible.
Right.
So, impossible that they looked at it that quick and refused to buzz downstairs and say, we need to look at this. Once again, they messed up, and they're trying to – we know what they're doing. The Giants got robbed on that one. There's no question. No question that should have been stopped, and they should have looked at that spot.
Yes.
No question.
Yes. And like you said, listen, it's not about necessarily one call here or there, but, the Giants right now aren't in a position to be able to overcome some of the mistakes that they are making. And once again, Chris, the Giants special teams remains an issue on this, and the special teams could very easily, especially on their punt coverage and what happened yesterday, we could look at that, point fingers all day and go, we're still not better. Outside of the kicker maybe being better, our special teams are not better with the New York Giants.
Yeah, it's been a problem for years, Joe. Listen, Sherman's going to have, he had Odell yesterday returning punts, hoping to provide a spark, and what happens? Tries to make a play on a block, he tries to peel off and throw a block, and the ball hits his leg. And guess what? That's the difference, right?
Yep.
I mean, without that, the Giants probably win this game, So, yeah, special teams is an issue, although Wiley Dixon has been improvement, and Rosas, except for that one blunder yesterday where he kicked it out of bounds and turned the momentum quick right back to Carolina, he's been really solid too. So they just can't get a kickoff return going. And Odell's going to be back there, and he's going to try to, Sherman's going to try to provide the spark there with Odell and some punt returns. But, yeah, it was a big issue, Joe. And listen, that's the difference in the game, right?
Yep.
You look at it.
Amen.
Touchdown for Carolina.
Yep. And another issue for the Giants. Chris Bisignano joining us, Giant Insider. Another issue remains there is no running game. At least there's no improvement in the running game from last year. We know Dave Edelman came in. We were going to get the hog mollies, right? We were getting Nate Soldier. We were going to get, Will Hernandez. We're letting Pugh go. We're letting Richburg go, Fluker. And then all of a sudden now, when you compare the numbers this year to last year, we're no better in some of the categories. We're actually even worse. And that remains a problem with Saquon Barkley, a number 2 draft pick. That's a problem here moving forward.
Yeah, the run game. And you know what? The numbers would probably be even worse, Joe, if it wasn't for Barkley's ability to break the first tackle on a lot of these runs.
Yes.
I mean, he's created some yards on some plays that it was absolutely nothing where he's picked up a few, 3 or 4, whatever. But yeah, no, the offensive line has not been a good run blocking line as of yet, and the run games is just not there. And no matter how good Barkley is, Joe, it's the same old story. He still needs some holes to run through, And yesterday Carolina was they were all over the run game. yesterday. They were, you know what, Joe? It seemed like they even knew when the run was coming.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were run blitzing a lot, and Barkley had no chance yesterday. But yeah, it hasn't been pretty in the run game. No question.
And the interesting thing and the good thing is for Giant fans is that your playmakers are making plays. Saquon Barkley making plays. Odell's making plays. Shepard now is making some plays. So you've got your playmakers in a position to actually do some great things and some big things, and they have been. They just haven't been able to put together all three facets of the game in one game and even Eli was throwing the ball better yesterday than he has. Some things are starting to click, and then what happens is other parts of this team seem to fall off, and then at the end they just can't overcome. But the playmakers are at least making some plays now, Chris.
Yeah, listen, it was a concerted effort to get the ball downfield yesterday, no doubt about it. Eli did get the ball down the field, hit some things going. I mean, we don't even have Ingram either,
Yeah.
Ingram's a big part of it still. And he's been out, but like you said, Joe, football is a three-phase sport. You have to have all three phases going. And the special teams hurt us yesterday. And listen, you know what, referees and all that, but the Giants' defense has got to get a sack there in that last drive of the camp. Somebody has to step up and get that sack. They need that stop, and they didn't. They went down and they got in the field goal position. Mind you, it was 63 yards, but they did line up for the field goal, and they did beat us. So, like you just can't get all three parts going, Joe, at once. And until they do that, it's going to be a lot of losses like this.
Let's talk some positives here, because there were some positives to come out of this game yesterday. Chris Bisignano joining us, Giant Insider, at Giant Insider. Make sure you guys follow him on Twitter. If you're a Giants fan, no better information and point of view than what they've got going on there at Giant Insider. Listen, the Giants could have folded up at halftime and just packed their shit up and went back to New York. They were awful in the first half, and they didn't. They came back. They showed heart. And I know a lot of the comments from the players on Twitter and social media after that game kept talking about how proud they were of each other. I know Nate Solder talked about, becoming a unit and being closer and bonding. And maybe sometimes the greatest things to come out of losses is the ability of this team to start getting each other's back and moving forward. Do you think, as hard a loss as this was yesterday, that it might be exactly what the Giants need to be able to come together despite Odell's comments here the past week? Maybe this is what they needed moving forward?
Yeah, it's a great point, Joe. Great point. Because you know what? Sometimes gut-wrenching losses brings a locker room together. And that's what I sensed yesterday. Listen, Joe, the Odell comments didn't rip apart the locker room. I'm in the locker room all the time. I think the players all understood what Odell was saying. He wasn't calling them out for saying they didn't have heart. He was just, Odell just didn't choose the right word, the way he expressed himself. He was just trying to say we need to kick it up more with the passion and come together a little bit more. The players knew what he was talking about. There was no problem in the locker room at all with what Odell said. And then he addressed the team Saturday night saying, you guys know what I mean. I'm just trying to say, let's get together on this and this and that. It's a past issue as far as the players go, Joe. And as far as this loss, yes, I saw Nate Solder came out with that. I think it's a very bonded unit, even more so now after that loss. And yeah, listen, when a team plays like that, when they're together, when they're coming together, Joe, you start seeing it on the field, and I do believe you will see a better Giant team as we move along in the season, Joe.
Well, they don't have a lot of time to feel sorry for themselves because it's a short week. Thursday night, the rivals, the Philadelphia Eagles, Thursday night football. I thought the defense played amazing yesterday with their hair on fire. When you hold Christian McCaffrey to just 3.4 yards per carry, you're doing something really good, especially without Olivier Vernon, which you miss on the edge, that is for sure. But short work week, got to get back at it today with this team, taking on a Philadelphia Eagles team who also seems to have a whole bunch of issues of their own they're trying to work through. And with Dallas not taking advantage and Washington playing tonight, it's not as if the Giants are out of this, or are they, Chris?
No, they're not out of it at all. You like you said, it's a short work week. If they come around Thursday night, they come back and win this game. You're looking at the Eagles have the same amount of losses, and the Cowboys. Listen, the Cowboys are just like what they are right now, 2-3, And the Redskins, it remains to be seen. You know, they have a real good test tonight in New Orleans. So, no, not out of it at all, Joe. Nobody's running away with this division. So that's how, you know, a win Thursday night, and people start saying, whoa, wait a minute here. You know, we have 10 games left and we could do some things. So, no, Joe, do not believe they're out of it whatsoever. Unless they lay an egg Thursday night, but, you know, they're right there, so it's going to be a real interesting one against the Eagles in a few days.
And it's been a tough stretch for the Giants, too. I mean, where they had 3 games on the road against 3 very good opponents, you know, and then now they're going to go home. They're going to get Philadelphia, short work week. The schedule was not great, to say the least, to start this year for the Giants, and they very easily could have 2 wins, even possibly 3 wins in that schedule. It didn't work that way, but they're not out of it, but the schedule hasn't helped them very much either.
No, listen, the schedule's been tough. You know, they got to play the Eagles Thursday. They got to go to Atlanta.
Yeah.
The following week. You know, it's been hard. You know, but listen, you know, it's the NFL. It's no excuses. You know, you have to beat these opponents. You know, like you said, they could have had a couple more wins. But you know what, Joe? A lot of teams look at that around the league and say, "Hey, play it here and there." You know, we could have had this win, that win, this and that. They don't. They are what they are. They're 1-4. And they need to improve as we go along here, starting Thursday night against Philadelphia. You know, nothing's easy in this league, Joe. No. Nothing is easy in this league. You see it every week, right, Bud? You see it every week. Somebody's knocking off somebody, you know, who's favored and all that. So,
yep.
Next game up, Joe. That's the way the Giants look at it. Next game up, the Eagles, and then they worry about whoever's down the road.
Chris Bisignano joining us, Giant Insider at Giant Insider. Great publication, follows the team, covers the team. Some great information for you Giant fans. And what's the one thing you would like to see Thursday night the Giants improve on? What is the one thing that you're just waiting for? They seem to have the different parts clicking. What is the one thing you hope to see on Thursday night with this team?
Joe, I would like to see James Betcher be a little more aggressive on the defensive end. I would like to see some more blitzing. I don't know if Olivier Vernon's coming back Thursday. A high ankle sprain. It's close with him. I don't know if he's going to be back. But I felt yesterday, Joe, that a lot of 4-man rushes. I would like to see Betcher, especially now with Apple back. I would like to see Betcher be more aggressive because, Joe, when they're rushing 4 guys, they're just not getting there, not getting to the quarterback. We have, 6 sacks now in 5 games, and that's not cutting it in a passing league. So I want to see Betcher more aggressive in getting to Wentz Thursday night, you know, because if they're going to give Wentz all the time in the world, too, he's going to hurt them, you know, like most quarterbacks do in this league, you know. So that's what I want to see, Joe. I'm hoping that they could get a lot more pressure on Carson Wentz Thursday.
All right, there you go. Great stuff. Chris Bisignano. Make sure you follow him, Giant Insider, at Giant Insider on Twitter. Short work week, Chris. Get your ass back in that locker room. Get going. You got a game Thursday night. I appreciate the time, my friend. I look forward to doing this again.
Thank you, Joe. Anytime, bud. Nice talking to you.
You got it. Chris Bisignano. All right, guys, check him out. TheGiantInsider.com. Great publication. Nobody knows more about the Giants. Guys are just wired in. They're in there all the time. Great, great read for you G-Men fans there. The season is not over. I think the bottom line is the season is not over. You have the, as a matter of fact, I think we can, we're going to check in with the Cowboys right now. And, okay, there they are. All right, so you have the Cowboys. You've got the big game against the Eagles coming up, and who knows what's going to happen tonight with Washington. So there's opportunity here for the Giants. They kind of got all the pieces together. They just got to put it all together, all 3 facets of the game in one game. I mean, special teams has just let them down again. Defense played with their hair on fire yesterday. The Giants got a lot going for them. They don't have a lot to show for it in the win column, but they are 1-4, and your most important games are still ahead of you. So now you're in October and November. What you do here is really what matters. There's no reason why you can't get 10 wins, 9-10 wins, and still win this division because nobody else is running away with it in the NFC East. Now, that is for sure. And also, big hats off. I don't know if this is possible, but essentially, since we have a Monday night game, and tonight, it's very hard for me to watch these Monday night games with Jason Witten and Booger McFarlane and Joe Tessitore, I like, but it's just unlistenable. These guys, it's terrible. It's not good. It's not good on the ears. It's not pleasant. My ears start to bleed every time Booger McFarland just yells into the microphone. Jason Witten just doesn't look like he belongs. Doesn't sound like he belongs there. So I'm hoping maybe we can get these guys to replace them on Monday night. And these guys, that would be Jamie Moreno and Louis Moreno Jr., who had the call on the Graham Gano field goal, 63-yard field goal yesterday that won it for the Carolina Panthers. Let's take a listen here.
Le ha sobrado distancia, le van a servir. Tiene altura, tiene profundidad, va a llegar. ¡Ganó, lo ganó! 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 ¡Señor! ¡Ganó, lo ganó! ¡Ganó, lo ganó! Yo sí le voy a los Panthers. ¡Taca, taca, 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 taca! Yo sí le voy a los Panthers. ¡Taca, taca, taca!
Yeah, that would be the Louis Moreno and Jamie Moreno. They have the Spanish broadcast. We heard them do that a couple of years ago too, with the Greg Olsen touchdown catch in the playoffs. Just some great stuff there. But that's how every football game should sound, not like whatever the hell Jason Witten, Booger McFarland, and Joe Tessitore are throwing out there, and Beth Mowins and the rest of them. ESPN has done a wonderful job of ruining Monday Night Football for all of us there. Now we've got to watch the damn thing on mute and, throw the CC up there and try and read what's going on, because it's unlistenable is what it is. Absolutely unlistenable. But I do want to thank our good friend Chris Bisignano, GiantInsider.com, for stopping by. We're not done talking New York football. The next up is going to be the New York Jets, who had an unbelievable win yesterday over the Denver Broncos. And I know Jet fans are jumping up and down right now. They got to be excited, right? Because Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson actually do play on the same team. So the Jets, it was a big win, a very kind of statement win, certainly from the running game. Isaiah Crowell, a lot to try to dissect and figure out what happens from here, especially since it ain't Case Keenum next week. It's Andrew Luck, and it's 100% healthy Andrew Luck that's coming to town. So another big test, but we are going to talk to Tyler Rausch from Jets Talk Radio, one of the best podcasts about the New York Jets. He's going to join us coming up here in just a couple of minutes. So we'll try to figure out exactly where do they go? Where do the Jets go from here? I'll get you updated on what's happening Major League Baseball, by the way. Astros 5, Indians 2. That's top of the 8th inning. Astros lead that series 2-0, looking to close out the Indians. Also, the Dodgers and Braves underway. Dodgers 1-0, bottom of the first. Manny Machado's got an RBI single in that game. Dodgers lead that series 2-1. Braves ended up pulling one out at home last night. Ronald Acuna, grand slam home run, the youngest ever to do so, I believe, in the playoffs, being, 20 years old. So impressive stuff. Can the Braves tie it up, get it to a Game 5? We don't know, but you know what's happening. We're all waiting for tonight's Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees, Game 3 in the Bronx. Nathan Eovaldi was announced as the starter yesterday, which had a few people interested, to say the least. A couple of people scratching their head. I know I've seen the reaction from Red Sox fans. They're not necessarily thrilled with having Nathan Eovaldi go on the road in Yankee Stadium, a place where hasn't been great in the past. But the Yankees are countering with their ace, the guy that got him here to begin with. So Severino will be taking the mound for the New York Yankees tonight. Gary Sanchez, 2 home runs in Game 2, helped them split the series 1-1. It's back to the Bronx, so it's going to be a very interesting game. That is 7:40 first pitch, and keep in mind, because baseball loves to do this, they love to do the whole musical chairs. It's kind of guess where the game is on. It's on TBS tonight, so if you're don't run around. It's not on Fox. It's not going to be on ESPN. Monday Night Football. The game is going to be on TBS. So make sure that you check that out. Also want to let you guys know, too, if you have any questions about maybe what to bet tonight or maybe what to bet this week in baseball, there's only one place for you guys to be able to check out, and that is wagertalk.com. And it really is your one-stop shop for everything that is professional sports handicapping. As a matter of fact, you've got a dozen of the world's best sports handicappers available to you at wagertalk.com. Great free information, great free picks, all sorts of knowledge is power. We all know that. And the more knowledge we have, the better off we are making smart decisions when it comes to picking who's going to win and what bets we're going to place. And there's one place for you to go and get that knowledge, wagertalk.com. Make sure you guys check it out. You will not be disappointed. I promise you on that. And when we come back, Jet fans are not disappointed. Tyson Roush from Let's Talk Jets Radio. He's going to join us. We're going to talk about the Jets. Where do they go from here? We'll figure that out. But first, 2.5 minutes worth of wonderful sponsors that we'd like to address and we'd like to welcome into the show. Of course, Resort Release, for those of you stuck in those timeshares you never use. The Laser Spine Institute, want to thank them for coming on. And, of course, Dish TV, where you don't have to figure out where all the games are. Dish TV's got everything that you need. So we'll talk to Tyler Roush. We'll talk Jets football. That's coming up 2.5 minutes.
Where do you want to go on a vacation or honeymoon? The Caribbean, Europe, Hawaii, Mexico? How about Disney or a cruise? At Superior Cruise and Travel, we've got you covered. We'll assign you your own travel concierge. They'll help you design a custom vacation plan that you can't find online. And the service is completely free. You can't compare the value of this to any other online travel company. We can help you plan a custom vacation anywhere in the world. We even offer payment plans with no credit card required. Now you pay off your vacation on your time schedule. Call now and mention the promo code RADIO and save up to $500. Book your custom trip. Call Superior Cruise and Travel now and talk to one of the highest rated travel agencies in the country with a 5-star A+ online rating.
800-901-5536. 800-901-5536. 800-901-5536. That's 800-901-5536.
Were you scammed into signing a timeshare contract? And did you miss the part that said you have to pay for your great idea? Not only for the rest of your life, but when you're not here anymore, you get to pass this turkey onto your family for them to pay for the rest of their lives. Thanks, Dad. Don't burden your family down the road, and don't be stuck with expensive timeshare payments forever. Get out of your bad idea timeshare contract guaranteed, or pay nothing. Call Resort Release today and learn for free how their timeshare exit team can help you legally exit your timeshare contract. They've helped thousands of people, and they're A+ rated with a BBB. So if you feel scammed, get mad and get out of your expensive timeshare contract right now, guaranteed. Call NOW.
800-898-0816. 800-898-0816. 800-898-0816. That's 800-898-0816.
Back pain doesn't take vacations. It never celebrates holidays. It's on the job 24/7 to keep your life exactly where it is, in limbo. But it doesn't have to be that way, because Laser Spine Institute can help you take back your life from chronic neck and back pain. With a less than 1-inch incision, our minimally invasive procedures have provided relief to over 60,000 patients with a 97% patient satisfaction rate. So get ready to stand tall and live the life you've imagined for yourself without pain. Are you or a loved one suffering from a bulging disc, herniated disc, spinal stenosis, pinched nerve, or degenerative disc disease? Call our spine care consultants now for a no-cost MRI review and to learn more. It's time to say goodbye to chronic neck and back pain. What have you got to lose? Laser Spine Institute, the leader in minimally invasive spine surgery.
Call 855-720-BACK. 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 That's 855-720-BACK.
Don't be such a pussy. Subscribe to the Say It With Me podcast with Joe Raineri on iTunes today.
So it was a hell of a Sunday for New York football. Two opposite sides. If you're a Giants fan, you're kind of scratching your head with a 63-yard field goal. If you're a New York Jets fan, you are jumping up and down and going, finally, we've got the Sam Darnold that we hope we did. And talking a little Jets football today, I thought we'd brought in somebody who covers them on a consistent basis, one of the best Jets podcasts out there. It's Let's Talk Jets Radio. His name is Tyson Roush, and he joins us via the Miami Acura hotline. So, Tyson, thanks for taking a few minutes out, my friend.
Oh, thank you, man. You got me on a good day with the big Jets victory.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, this is probably going to be a much better phone call than it was with the Giants reporters here just a few minutes ago. But let's talk Jets, man. I got to tell you, when last week when the line came out in this game and the Jets were favored and you had Denver coming into town, there were a lot of people, myself included, that were going, why are the Jets favored in this game? And after what we witnessed yesterday, I guess we now know why the Jets were favored heading into this game.
Well, it was almost a perfect storm, to be honest with you. The Broncos are coming off an emotional loss, short week, East Coast trip, and the Vultures were circling, man. Like, the Jets needed to win bad. Darnold wasn't playing that good. Todd Bowles was facing all kinds of heat. So this team had to rally, and they're playing at home for the first time. So it was kind of like, all fell in the right hands for them, and I kind of, to be honest with you, I kind of expect that yesterday.
Well, I got to tell you, a lot of people were very concerned with the offense and the kind of taking the training wheels off of Sam Darnold. A lot of people felt that it was being too safe for too long with him, and obviously it helps when you have a running game to open some things up. But it appears that Robbie Anderson actually still plays for the Jets, and they allowed Darnold to kind of air it out yesterday.
Well, that was all built off the offensive line. The offensive line's been struggling. They have a new coach. They're going to a zone blocking scheme. So for a couple of weeks there, he was running for his life field when you're running to the sideline and you get down. So he finally had time yesterday. The running game helped out. And Robbie Anderson's one of the best deep threats in football when he has some time. So, I mean, it worked out, and it was just fun to watch finally.
Yeah, it was actually. It was really fun to watch. In fact, Tyson Roush joining us at Talk Jets Radio on Twitter. Make sure that you guys check out the Jets podcast. And listen, offensive line played great. Defense finally played. Special teams. It's one of the first times that we've seen all three facets of the Jets team actually come and play and bring their A game.
Yeah, especially on defense. I mean, the game against the Jaguars was embarrassing to new levels of Jets embarrassing. So it was nice to see them bounce back. They have a lot of talent there. And then Andre Roberts has been a blessing as a punt returner. So like you said, they're all finally, it's a young team. They're all starting to figure it out. I mean, it's just a complete game, a 60-minute game, which they haven't done all year. It's a refreshing change, man. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, well, listen, they're not going to run. They're not going to run for 312 yards every week here, but there are some positives to take away against a pretty good front seven on the Denver Broncos. But there are still some concerns. It was good to see that Robbie Anderson showed up finally, but then all of a sudden, Quincy Enunwa was nowhere to be found. It was kind of like those two switched bodies, and now all of a sudden Robbie Anderson's there and no Quincy Enunwa. And it's like they've got to do a better job of kind of spreading the wealth around at some point.
Well, they threw several passes to Quincy. I think he's battling a thumb injury or something like that. So he had some opportunities, some drops, some bad breaks there. They got Jermaine Kearse involved. And then Neil Sterling's been out as well, the tight end, which was going to be a big part of their offense. Once he comes back from a concussion, that could spread things out too because you have a safety valve in the middle of the field. So I think, they're coming along. Quincy has been great, but, getting Robbie open deep, that's going to open up so many options, underneath the running backs and tight ends.
Yeah, well, that's right. You keep running for 300 yards, you're going to open up a whole lot of things. Tyson Roush joining us here via the Miami Acura hotline. Leonard Williams, enough cannot be said about the job that he has done over the last couple of games. This is finally the Leonard Williams we were all promised, we were told about, and he is becoming an absolute beast on the defensive front for this team.
Well, it's funny. Was it 2 weeks ago, the fans and media were starting to get on him because he's playing for a new contract that wasn't putting up any numbers.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden, he's just been a man amongst boys, just completely dominating. And that's kind of occurred to Todd Bowles as well, because they moved him around. He was a linebacker yesterday. He was standing up as a linebacker yesterday on one blitz. So they're using him differently, and then his natural athletic ability, his talent, to took over.
How much of what they did defensively yesterday do you put on Todd Bowles? I mean, do you see, obviously, defensive coordinator is out with a serious illness, but how much do you think that defense changed with Todd Bowles pulling the strings yesterday?
I don't think it really changed all that much. I think their communication significantly improved, and that was something that Jamal Adams and Marcus May and those guys all talked about, where they had a meeting on Friday and said, we got to clean this up. Like, it was just mental mistakes, lack of communication, and once they cleaned that up, I mean, they were all flying around. There was no blown assignments. Like I said, that Jaguars game was a fiasco. And all that stopped, and they didn't even blitz that much. They usually blitzed more. They actually blitzed less yesterday.
And I think you also got to point out the job that the secondary is doing here, because Morris Claiborne has done a great job. Jermaine Johnson has been hurt, although he was forced kind of back into that game yesterday once Buster Screen went out with a concussion protocol. But you got to give them a lot of credit, especially Morris Claiborne, on what he's been able to do with a less than 100% Jermaine Johnson out.
Yeah, Jermaine Johnson was out. Buster Screen left early with a concussion. So they had to go to Dow Roberts. They had to go to the rookie Nickerson. It kind of makes you think Claiborne picked up a big role, because then he took over the number 1 spot. And then you also got to look at Adams and May as safeties are like corners. So they did a great job, and J.J. Wilcox too.
They all did, and it was quite impressive and refreshing to see, because, listen, for Denver, for all their faults, they still got a lot of talent on both sides of that ball. So the Jets being able to do what they did yesterday was pretty damn impressive. But where do you go from here, Tyson? You got Indianapolis and Andrew Luck coming up next. The kind of mood of the team here, is it nice to get the win and we're moving on, or what do we expect here moving forward?
Well, if you follow the Jets for a long time like us, you know that they notoriously play poorly after a big win. They never handle success well. They always come out flat. So now it's like you want to see finally build off of this. Build off this win, keep playing consistent defense, let the offense keep playing, but that's something under Todd Bowles they've never, ever done. They always fall flat the following week. So, you're like cautiously optimistic. You want to see them grow, but we're all kind of worried about this big flat performance coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, you don't want to get let down, but moving forward here, what do you want to see, Tyson Roush joining us? What do you want to see the Jets improve on next time out on the field? What do you need to see in order to really make you a believer of this team?
It's all about Sam Darnold, man. This season is all about Sam Darnold continuing to grow, continuing to develop. His passing numbers weren't great yesterday. He had two or three excellent throws. He had some misses. So you want to see the offense continue to grow, develop, become more dynamic, spread the ball around. But for me, this season is all about Sam Darnold, and that's really about it, man. It's not about wins and losses. Just keep growing, keep improving, getting these young guys playing time, and see what happens.
Yeah, well said, man. Big game coming up. I mean, it was a good victory, but now it's time to go on, see what you do against. This ain't Case Keenum coming in here. This is Andrew Luck coming in here. A very healthy Andrew Luck, it appears. So this is going to be a really good test for the Jets, and it should be a very fun game to watch. Tyson Roush, Talk Jets Radio, at Talk Jets Radio. Make sure you guys check him out on Twitter. Some great stuff. You JETS fans, this is the place to go to get all your Jets information. Tyson, appreciate the time, my friend. Thanks for stopping by. Looking forward to doing this again.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me.
You got it. Tyson Roush, Talk Jets Radio. Make sure you guys check him out. That is some good stuff, too, and I want to thank him so very much for taking the time out and talking a little Jets football here today. It just seemed appropriate after Jets Nation hasn't had an awful lot to be able to jump up and down about since that dismantling of the Detroit Lions in Week 1, but it does look like they are in good hands. It looks like the coaching staff has made the adjustments they needed. Any which way you cut it, that is a big win at home. Those are the kinds of games that you have to win, that you need to win if people are going to start believing in you. And Todd Bowles certainly went from the hot seat to the everything seems to be just fine, at least for another week, and which is good news. It's good news because I'm not sure that Todd Bowles is going to be the guy to deliver this team into the future. but certainly he proved a lot of people wrong yesterday. He had his team ready to play. They did fix a lot of the mistakes that plagued them against the Jacksonville Jaguars the week prior. Defense played, special teams played, running game got going, and of course Sam Darnold. You watching that kid throw the ball all over the field, I can tell you that he's the real deal. And much like what Tyson just told us, that's really what it's all about for the Jets moving forward. It's the future. It's getting Sam Darnold in a position to be able to be successful, putting the right pieces around him and getting it going. Because there's a lot of teams right now, unfortunately, that don't have this, including the Miami Dolphins. I think, do we have a live look at the Miami Dolphins? Yep, there they go. That's the Miami Dolphins live cam. Looking at them in Davie, Florida. It doesn't get any worse than what happened with the Miami Dolphins yesterday, taking a 17-0 lead at halftime and just pretty much handing the ball back off to the Cincinnati Bengals and giving them an opportunity to win the game. It's not good here in South Florida, I can tell you. Those of you in New York that are watching outside of the 305 area, it's not good here. Ryan Tannehill, Adam Gase, no offensive line. Defense was hurt, but there really is no excuse for losing that game yesterday, especially in the fashion that they did lose it. I will give Ryan Tannehill this. He did go up to the podium today and addressed it and put it all on him. And, well, it was really nobody else. How many more times are you going to turn the ball over? So he did at least own what is going on and what happened, and it did say he's got to play better. So I will give him that. If that's going to make any bit of difference moving forward with this team, I don't know. They certainly were good enough to be able to win that game on the road in Cincinnati. And hats off also to Cincinnati and what they are now 4-1. And I do believe that is the first time or one of the only times that we have ever seen a Cincinnati Andy Dalton-led team that scored nothing at half, that went into the second half of the game and was actually able to come from behind and win. It doesn't happen very often there in Cincinnati, especially with Andy Dalton, but they managed to do it. And Vontaze Burfict, having Vontaze Burfict back for the Cincinnati Bengals, you can just tell the Dolphins couldn't move the ball at all in the second half. Vontaze Burfict is the heart and soul of that defense for Cincinnati. They are playing some fantastic football. You got the Red Rocket there throwing the ball all over the yards. So I'm happy for them. I really am. I have no idea what that is. So let's see if we can get that out of there. All right, there we go. We got him out of there. So thank you very much. But honestly, Vontaze Burfict, hats off to the Cincinnati Bengals. 4-1 now. They are clearly in a class all themselves in the AFC North as Baltimore's licking their wounds. Pittsburgh is still trying to figure out what they're doing. And let's be honest, the Atlanta Falcons, you can probably stick a fork in them also, because how can you have a offense and wide receivers and weapons like the Atlanta Falcons going into Pittsburgh against that secondary that ranks in the bottom of just about every category in the NFL? How in the world do you go with Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones and not be able to score more than 17 points? I mean, 41-17 was the score. And if you didn't watch the game was actually worse than that. It really was. The 41-17, as much as it's a blowout, it was even that much worse watching the game. There is just no excuse for the Atlanta Falcons, who, once again, are two totally different teams. They are a different team in the dome, indoors, than when they play outdoors. And Julio Jones was MIA yesterday. Calvin Ridley, MIA. No excuse. Plus, the Falcons have a defensive-minded head coach in Dan Quinn, and yet this team has given up 121 points in the last 3 games. Think about that. 121 points during their 3-game losing streak. And I don't see anything that tells me the Atlanta Falcons are somehow all of a sudden going to be able to turn that back, even if they get healthy on defense. 121 points in 3 games is ridiculous, especially for a guy like Dan Quinn, a defensive-minded head coach. But the fact that you couldn't do anything against a secondary that the rest of the league has been lighting up, especially with guys like Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. You might as well stick a fork in them. And if I'm the Broncos, I look at that game. How much longer are you going to wait before you start taking a look at what Chad Kelly's got? Because Case Keenum is not the future in Denver. I think we can all agree with that, right? Case Keenum is certainly not the future. Chad Kelly, very impressive, beat out Paxton Lynch for the number 2 job on that team. At some point, I mean, we got to start looking for the future. And I hate to say it with the Giants, too. At some point, couple of more losses maybe, these teams got to start looking ahead, and what are we going to do there? And I know a lot of people got mad at Odell Beckham Jr. for, speaking the truth, but the reality is, listen, he's got an aging quarterback who is not what he once was, and we see it each and every week. So how many more losses before teams like the Broncos and the Giants maybe start looking to what they have in the youth on that team, especially Chad Kelly, who has shown more promise than certainly anybody else has on that team, including Case Keenum. So Case Keenum proving once again that he is not even remotely the same quarterback without Pat Shurmur as his offensive coordinator. I do want to thank you guys for hanging out with us here today, by the way. Quick update. The Astros have now taken a 10-2 lead over the Indians there in the bottom of the 8th. So it looks like the Astros are going to go ahead and advance and wait for the winner of the Red Sox-Yankees game, which is getting ready to first pitch 7:40 tonight on TBS. Dodgers-Braves, 1-0 Dodgers still heading into the top of the third. That game is in Atlanta. Atlanta ended up winning last night, so now that is a 2-1 series. Dodgers looking to close it out here, but the Astros all over the Indians. It's not even remotely close. If you're just joining us, thank you very much for stopping by, making us a part of your day. Some of the good, some of the bad, some of the ugly that we'll go over here before I give you tonight's lock, and I mean lock for tonight, as far as where you should be placing your money. It is fairly simple, and I'll give you the reasoning behind it coming up in a minute, but I do want to talk about some of the good from the weekend. We mentioned Sam Darnold and what a game that he had, but we should also take into consideration that the youth of the NFL and the quarterback position, this league is in good hands. If this is a quarterback league, and we all know it is, then the quarterback, the youth quarterback in the NFL right now is in pretty damn good shape. So the sooner we can get the Aaron Rodgers and the Tom Bradys to retire, we don't have to worry about, being nobody else, and that the NFL will be in a lull until we can replace those guys. Peyton Manning's gone. Aaron Rodgers, you're next following, because there's not a lot to be excited about. However, the kid can play, and the kid is proving that. Also, first-round talent. Certainly the future looks bright for Josh Rosen and the Arizona Cardinals. Good for them. Darnold, Josh Allen. Like I said earlier, I was wrong about Sean McDonough for the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. The guy can flat out coach. He's got no talent on that team, and yet he's managed to rattle off 2 wins in the last 3 games against teams he had no business beating. And the only way you do that in the NFL, you don't get lucky twice. The only way you do that is by being one hell of a coach and having one hell of a coaching staff. And the kid has got absolutely no weapons around him, one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. He only threw for 82 yards yesterday, but they won the game. And the only reason they're doing that is because they are putting these players in a position to be successful, and that is what coaching is all about. But hats off to, if you want to throw Patrick Mahomes in there, who's only on his 2nd year, the youth and the quarterback in the NFL, it's lights out. It truly is lights out. We are still going to have the middle-of-the-road guys, obviously. Wait until Lamar Jackson gets in there for Baltimore at some point. I could not be happier with the direction of the NFL and the quarterback position. Unfortunately, any of you teams or any of you fans that are looking forward to next year's draft, there are no, Baker Mayfield's, Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen's coming out in next year's draft. We're still a year or 2 away from being able to get that next crop of quality starting quarterbacks. But between Carson Wentz, even though he's a little out of sync right now, he's going to put it together. Jared Goff. You look at the quarterback position and you look at the average age of these guys, the next 10 to 12 years in the NFL, we've got some guys, we've got some matchups, we've got some rivalries, we've got a lot of things to be excited about in this league. One of the bad things about this weekend, the officiating is getting worse in the NFL. It truly is. I know Mike Tomlin had made a few comments that is probably going to end up costing him some money, but there were once again some calls yesterday. Giant fans will tell you Landon Collins called for, I don't even know what that was. He ended up trying to go for a ball, and Devin Funchess ends up falling into him, and they throw a flag on him as he's trying to intercept the ball. There was also a play, just about every play Clay Matthews has ever made this year and has gotten flagged for is a bit ridiculous. But Michael Bennett yesterday getting called on a roughing the passer when he was on the ground and tackled the quarterback, and yet somehow still managed to get a roughing the passer call when he was doing everything he could just to grab the guy's legs and try and bring him down, was just mind-blowing. So the calls are getting worse. The flags are getting worse. And even in the Giant game yesterday on a 3rd and 1, when the refs on the field couldn't throw or couldn't ask for the review, they had to wait for the review to come from New York. And when it didn't come and they were allowed to get that first down and they were given that first down, the officiating continues to be an issue in the NFL. And it's only going to get worse. I don't know how they're going to fix this, but it's going to be a problem. And it won't be too long, over the next couple of weeks, or certainly heading into the playoffs, where there is going to be one of these glaring situations that's going to cost a team a chance in the playoffs or in a Super Bowl, that are going to have people screaming and yelling for years to come. So I hope that they address it and get it fixed, because it's a problem right now. It's a big problem over there. Jeremy, always a pleasure to see you joining us here via Facebook Live. Mr. Big Truce, nice to see you. And, of course, all of you, Mario and Vari and Jennifer. I want to thank you guys very much for hanging out with us here today on the show. Also, big shout-out to our guest today, Chris Bisignano from GiantInsider.com, Tyson Roush from Talk Jets Radio. Can't thank those guys enough for coming by, talking Giants, talking Jets. If you missed any of it, don't worry. You will have the opportunity, of course, once this show's done. That's the best thing about streaming, is that if you missed any of this, don't worry about it. You're going to have access to it as soon as we are done here. And the final thing that I want to give you before we head out here today on this Monday is tonight's lock of the Monday night century. You got Redskins, you got New Orleans. As of about an hour ago, about 82% of the bets that were coming in on this game were coming in on the over. And that is a pretty common game for anything that is usually seen in the Superdome. Since the start of 2015, the over has received at least 70% of the bets in 17 of the 26 games that have been played there. And the over has gone 12 of the 17 times. So the Superdome, expect a lot of points. Certainly the history tells us that. The over-under has gone up. It opened up at 51. It did go up to about 52.5, which means there's an awful lot of money that came in, but it is back down. I know you can get 51.5 somewhere around there. And also that increase, we watched the Redskins go down from 6.5 to 6 across the market and most of the books. So keep an eye on that. What do we need to know? Trends for tonight. Well, since 2014, Drew Brees, Sean Payton, they've played 11 games in the Superdome in which the line has moved away from the Saints, which it has done. They're 4-7 straight up, 3-7-1 against the spread in those games, and they have failed to cover the spread by 9.4 points per game. So the trend does not look good for the New Orleans Saints tonight. Also, the Saints, after returning to the Superdome, after playing back-to-back games on the road, since they've been there in 2006, Breeze, 16-7 straight up, and 16-7 against the spread at home after playing at least 2 straight games on the road. That makes him the NFL's second most profitable quarterback in that spot behind Aaron Rodgers, who is in 13-4. So you've got yourself a Drew Brees who is got a record tonight on the line after he throws 200 yards. They're going to stop the game. They're going to acknowledge that he becomes the NFL's all-time leading yardage thrower there, beating Peyton Manning. They will stop the game. They have said that, but he is in a position that has been very favorable to him on the road the last 2 weeks, coming back to the Superdome Monday night. Usually he does very, very well in this situations. And by the way, the Redskins are just one of 4 teams to cover the spread by an average of 6 or more points this season. They're doing it by 6.2. They are getting 6 points tonight on the road in the Superdome. So what is the bet to watch? What is the bet that you should be looking at? Well, according to the trends, the Redskins getting 6 looks like a pretty good number, but also the over at 51.5. If you can get that, that's a pretty good number. Why? Well, the Superdome since 2014, the over has gone 21-12-1 since that time. So the over is a pretty safe bet. If you can get it 51.5, go ahead and do it. They call the Mercedes-Benz Superdome the Coors Field of the NFL. And the reason is there's going to be a lot of points scored tonight from both of these teams. Washington, sneaky good. Alex Smith, he'll have no problem shredding that Saints defense. Can you even call it a defense? Is it a defense? I think you can call it. Yeah, it's sort of a defense. But yes, he will shred them up. And we know what Drew Brees is going to do. Alvin Kamara was a little banged up, but he is ready to rock and roll. Expect points to be aplenty. They're probably going to have 40 points by halftime between both of these. I expect them both to be in the It's going to end up probably in the 30s for both of these teams. So 51.5 is a solid investment for you tonight. And if you want to double down, do yourself a little 2-team parlay, then definitely look at the Washington Redskins, who have been doing a fantastic job of covering this year against that number. +6. They can score with anybody. We know that. You know that. So it's not as if the Saints are all of a sudden going to turn it on and become a defensive juggernaut. Not going to happen tonight. So I would take Washington and the points. Give me 6.5 if I can get it, and give me the over at 51.5. We'll cash the tickets, and then we'll come back here tomorrow, and we'll spend it together and laugh and laugh and laugh. Yankees tonight, Severino taking out Eovaldi. 7:40 TBS. Don't forget, that's where you're going to find the game, so you don't have to figure that out. Chris Bisignano, GiantInsider.com. Tyson Roush, Talk Jets Radio. Make sure that you guys check out their podcast. Check out the publication. If you're a Giant or Jets fan, nobody does it better than these two guys. Want to thank them very much for taking a few minutes out and stopping by and talking with us. Plenty going on the rest of the week. Of course, our Wager Talk friends there, wagertalk.com. We'll have the handicappers come on all week long, giving you all sorts of valuable information you can't get anyplace else. You can get it right here on the Joe Raineri Show, Monday through Friday. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Tyson. You guys have a great night. It's a beautiful time to be a sports fan, that being October. So enjoy the games tonight. We'll talk about them again tomorrow, 4 p.m. Have a great night.